First of all, thank you all for attending this League Day. And an explanation about the intention of our program, it all started at our fall meetings when we discussed the areas of work that we're involved with, our 4 issues, and what of that might engage and to be of interest to the larger League of Women Voter community. And one aspect of our work is dealing with budgets of school districts. Now, I don't know if you've ever had to wade through them. They're pretty amazing and pretty horrendous. There are funds that come in, maybe, and there are funds that go out, maybe. And we try to track where they are in the program. And one of the things that we've now seriously focused on is something called the LCAP, which is a community-based, the intent is to have the community decisions around where these funds go. And there are categories embedded in this, which is the LCFF. And these are funds that are conglomerations of what are called categorical funds. And they really want to target 3 groups of students: low-income students, special education students, and foster students. And the idea is that these funds will be directly sort of targeted to improving the educational and academic experiences of the students, except they don't very much. And they don't particularly with one category, and these are foster youth, who have there are several hundred, there are many hundreds, I should say, in Pasadena, scattered throughout, and they have the most disappointing record of achievement. Very low graduation rates, very high absentee. It goes on and on. And so we started beginning to look at what's really happening and what are solutions to it. But we wanted to do it from the perspective initially of what it's like to be a foster youth. A lot of us sit in meetings as adults and we hear, oh, this and that. But what is it, where are the eyes of the student coming forward? And that's our first 2 speakers are going to address that issue. We're very pleased about them, and they will be introduced to you. And our last speaker is very well known to the community, and she will address issues from the bureaucratic hurdles, and as well as some advocacy elements that will appear on your table. We will have questions answered at the end. At your tables, there are note cards and pens, and as we go through, as the speakers go through, if you have a question for a person, please write their name at the top, and we'll collect those, and then at the end, and then they will go through and answer them. So we have a limited amount of time. You don't have to ask a question, but if you do, that's the opportunity for that. So thank you all, and now on to our program. Julie McCune.
Good morning. I'm going to introduce Mikala Rahn. She's an educator, a leader, and an innovator. She has a BA in Human Development Communications from the University of California at San Diego and from the University of California at Berkeley, an MA in Political Science and a PhD in Educational Administration Policy Studies. She served as an advisory board member on the Pasadena Educational Foundation and a member of the Pasadena Unified School District. In 1998, she founded and is the CEO of Public Works, a nonprofit educational research firm focusing on pre-K through 12 education, working with schools, governments, parents, and communities. In addition to curriculum and assessment, they address juvenile justice, intervention, and prevention programs. Some targeted interventions include early childhood education, youth development, foster care, juvenile delinquency, mental health, and other social support services. In 2008, she founded Learning Works, a charter high school in Pasadena Unified School District. The school provides a personalized, rigorous academic program in relevant life schools to traditionally underserved, high-risk students in grades 6 through 12 who have withdrawn or are in danger of withdrawing from mainstream education without attaining a high school diploma. In addition to the wraparound services for the LearningWorks students, they have a partnership. There was many partnerships. One of them is a partnership with Homeboy Industries, created by Father Greg Boyle. Dr. Rahn is also a founder of the third branch of the Works group, Community Works. This program turns research into practice by supporting teachers, helping parents navigate the educational system, and students by providing training, classes, and hands-on assistance. Dr. Rahn holds strongly to the belief that education is a right that defines a person and shapes who they become. Please welcome Dr. Mikala Rahn.
Remind me to shorten that bio, because that's really so silly for you all to hear about what I do. But anyway, good morning. I'm going to start. Oh, hi, Elizabeth. I'm going to start with it's been kind of controversial in town about charter schools, so maybe I'll start with that topic and move to foster care. So, LearningWorks is the good guys. We're a different kind of charter school, I guess. I don't want to get into that debate, but LearningWorks is designed to do things that the school district can't do. The original intention of the legislation was to create learning labs, charters as learning labs, for things that other schools and districts could learn how to do. So we're 100% in partnership with the school district. My school board members love us because what we do is take the kids that are not in the district, that couldn't sort of survive a regular school, and they end up with LearningWorks. Some of them have been out of school for 2 years, and so in our middle school program, we end up with the ones that have been expelled or couldn't make it in a regular school, and then we return them to the district. So what that means is I am focused on what we would call high poverty youth, and we have the school in Pasadena and the one at Homeboy Industries in Boyle Heights. And what I find when I lead with the lens of high school dropout and what that looks like is that they come in many shapes and sizes. And that gives me exposure to really all the broken systems that we've created, whether that's probation, DCFS, school districts, I mean, you name it, we've got some systems that are good at most or some, but not great at all. Does that make sense? So then we got these leaks and cracks and who's getting caught from there. So my kids are homeless. My kids are at a probation. They're justice involved. My kids are from the foster care system. My kids come from addiction. My kids are teen parents. Mine are the ones that the systems don't like, and I love them. So. And that's the simple fact. Like the funny thing when people say, why does what you do work? It's like, well, I have a staff that loves them. And guess what? That matters. So as far as the foster care system, I get them 6th grade to 12th grade. So I'm on the broken end. I'm not saying, I can't speak enough to the first end of the foster care, and I know Jeanette knows the whole thing. So the end that I get to see with my teenagers is pretty sad. And by the time they're with me, they've been at, I'm not exaggerating, 10 to 15 to 17 schools. And we're very, very busy tracking down multiple transcripts where the school, before they get to us, wasn't interested in finding their credits at the other 7 schools they attended. So we're very, very busy being detectives, gathering up the credits so that we can get closer to these kids graduating, but the adults in the other schools just, they didn't spend the time to do it. So we are detectives. We basically look and find, or we'll find a student in the foster care system that it turns out they did have an IEP in 3rd grade at school number 2, and so we try to gather those kinds of records to try to give that student a chance and protection for when they leave us, because again, the chances are I've only got them for a few weeks, they're going to be pulled somewhere else. So we work quickly to try to make sure the papers and the documents are in shape for when then they go to another group home in Montebello. So we just see the brokenness of the systems and the lack of paperwork and advocates that sort of follow these kids. We also get to experience, it's very strange law. There's also emergency shelter. Now, an emergency shelter for foster care is where either something has happened in your home and you're taken quickly out of the home, or something happened in a group home and you quickly have to get out of that home. So the emergency shelters that we work with one that does all girls. And the very, very strange law on that is you have to be enrolled in 3 days. So you're ripped out of your home and you have to be enrolled in 3 days in school. And so here we are on sort of true trauma care. And a regular school would have a hard time doing that fast, right? Whereas we're crazy people, so we get them in school and work with their needs. But that's a whole other level of the system where they're being pulled to different cities, and this is all going on. And then lastly, the group that we get to deal with at Learning Works in the foster care system, which is the one that makes me the most angry, is the ones not in the system. So I have my 17-year-olds, do not get me started, who have been abandoned by parents or for some reason have no home, no hub. And I mean, I do my detective work, so if there's a couch I can get them on, or an aunt or an uncle or anything, I'll find them. But the system can't operate fast enough to get the 17-year-old qualified. And they will look at you and say, he's turning 18 in 3 months, so he's on his own. And you're like, on his own? Right? And then we speak in terms of once they get that label of that they're in the system, they actually now have much more time to access services, right? It goes past their 18th birthday. We're getting better at, wait a minute, at 18 you're not ready to be on your own. So this label and this protection is just so important, but the 17-year-olds are falling through the cracks in our world. And I successfully, but believe me, this was pulling teeth. I had one just a few months ago. He was 17, abandoned by his parents. Never had dad. Mom abandoned him. And I walk into DCFS, and you would have thought I was asking, for a vacation or something. So so it took, not only did it take walking into DCFS, it took me trying to find a placement, a family that would actually take him in, which was another monumental task. Now, my church is fabulous, and someone from my church, Deb Shepherd, did take him in and is going through this incredible process to get certified to take the 17-year-old. I mean, she has to take off work and all, it's terrible. But that only happened because we could find someone who would take him, and you had me being obnoxious, right, every day. And then he gets qualified by a judge. So it's not an easy system. It's still got a lot of flaws that we all need to work on. And what I've really learned about probation youth and foster care is just the more educated you can become on the stories of people involved in those systems, I think the more you feel it in your heart to then be more active and vocal about what is going on out there in the system. That's me. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Greta Pruitt, and I'm here to introduce Randall Trice. I want to begin by saying thank you for being here this morning. Thank you for respecting the importance of this topic in our community and throughout the entire Los Angeles County. This is a huge, huge problem. And Randall is an extraordinary exemplar of the fact that systems can work. Randall is a graduate of Pasadena High School. He's soon to graduate from Azusa Pacific. And he is a Pasadena kid from the beginning. It's such an honor to have him speak and share his personal experiences. He also was an athlete. Would you guess? A forward in the basketball team. he carried that action all the way to college. So we're seeing a youngster who really succeeded in the system and did succeed in Pasadena, which we can take a little pride in. Randall Trice. Thank you, Randall. Come and join us.
All right, I'm a success story. There's no negativity about my upbringing, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. All right, here we go. Good morning. My name is Randall Trice. I am a former foster youth. I say that with pride. I attend Azusa Pacific University. I am approximately 10 weeks from attaining my undergrad degree in social work. I will continue my education in July when I start my 10 months advanced standing, my advanced standing at APU to attain my MSW. If you ask me years ago if this was my plan all along, what do you think I would say? Hold that. Let me tell you about my self before you guys answer that question. As a child, I was full of a lot of hatred and anger. My mom was a crack addict. My father was a deadbeat, who, quite frankly, I barely even know. To this day, I don't even know if the man's really my father. I look nothing like him. I am 6 feet tall with a lean body type. He's 5'9" and a heavy-set body type. Every night, as I lay myself on my pillow and cry myself to sleep, I repeat the question over and over. Why me? Why couldn't you give me a good family? I am the eldest of my family. At the age of 9, my mother had her third child. This was the moment that I've been asking God for all along, and he finally answered. Even though it came through a series of unfortunate events, it gave me the opportunity to have a different lifestyle. During my mom's pregnancy with my younger brother, Michael, she was on crack. When my brother was born, the medical team found drugs in his blood system. They immediately removed my brother and I from the hospital room and took us to the DCFS office, await to be placed with a close family member, while my mother was being investigated for child endangerment. I remember the social worker asking me questions about my mother. They explained to me I would no longer be living with my mother. We ended up going to our grandmother's house, which was like a second life. My grandmother already had 4 foster children. She took Eric and my baby brother and I. I would have to say living in foster care wasn't ideal, but I don't think I would have been able to tap into the resources I was able to, such as YMO, a program that Hillside offered, affordable housing, other services to the youth who are aged out of the foster care system. I applied, and fortunate enough, I was accepted into the program. And I lived there for 2 years, and I was a part of YMO and learned multiple independent living skills, such as opening up a checkings account, how to manage a checkbook, something that we don't use anymore as young folks. All we do now is just swipe our credit cards. I was fortunate enough to have met mentors such as Beth, Betty, and Ralph. Betty and I have formed quite the relationship over the past couple of years. We meet once or twice a month, depending on how much she misses me. She's truly one of a kind. She has been my biggest supporter since day one. All of my mentors believed in me when I didn't believe in myself, and I want to acknowledge that and thank them for being such an inspiration and influence of my life. Without the foster care system, the resources that were made available to me while I was transitioning to early adulthood, I don't believe I would have the necessary tools and guidance to lead me towards the right path and achieve everything that I have to this point in my life. The foster care system was life-changing for me, and it gave me a chance at life. If I was not placed in foster care, I would not be standing up here speaking to you today. And then a final note, I want to share something that I wrote in my personal statement. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. So becoming a social worker is more than just a career to me. It is my life work. Helping kids see the light at the end of the tunnel, the light that many of them don't know exists because they come from homes, dark homes, and empty refrigerators. I want kids who have grown up in a foster care to know that this is not the end. Being in foster care is just a small part of an even greater testimony. And it takes the strong to be able to withstand the storm that comes with growing up in the system. Many times we oversee the privileges that we are blessed with. There are many dilemmas people face, and if I can help an individual overcome at least one obstacle at any point in their life, I believe that is the most rewarding thing. Social work presents me with the opportunity to serve the community that I am a part of and that I share my story to help others get over the hump. When everyone else tells them that they can't, I will be the voice to guarantee that they can. Being accepted into the fall, now it's summer. Being accepted into the summer Masters of Social Work course at Azusa Pacific University will help me continue to build upon the groundwork that already have been laid out for me. I am ready to do something greater than myself, to knock down walls everyone has ever tried to put in front of me and telling me that I will never amount to anything. This master's isn't for me. It's for my children and all the former foster youth who have emancipated youth that fear the circumstances are greater than just their dreams. This master is proof that the odds are not as stacked against me, are us.
And now we make it lower. Yeah, I'm a little bit shorter. I'm Cynthia Liu. I'm a fairly new member of League of Women Voters Pasadena, and I have the tremendous honor of introducing Dr. Jeanette Mann. Dr. Jeanette Mann's adult life has been devoted to serving children and young people. She's a Phi Beta Kappa graduate of the University of Missouri, Columbia, and a Rockefeller Fellow. And in 2010, she received that university's Arts and Sciences Distinguished Alumni Award in recognition of her professional accomplishments. Upon completing her doctorate, she accepted a faculty position at Northern Illinois University, and in 1976, she was appointed Special Assistant to the President for Equity and Diversity at Cal State University Northridge. Jeanette Mann was the first woman elected to the Board of Trustees of Pasadena City College, serving 8 terms, 6 as board president. She then served for 10 years on the board of directors of California Community College Trustees Association, 2 of those as president. As co-founder and chair/co-chair of the Foster Care Project, FCP, a ministry of All Saints Church here in Pasadena, Dr. Mann has enhanced the lives of foster, homeless, transitional, and incarcerated children and youth. In 2016, the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors identified FCP's family reunification program, Family Connect, as a model for the county. That year, working closely with foster parents and staff at Pasadena Community College, FCP's Public Policy Committee successfully petitioned the Pasadena Unified School District's board to establish a foster youth council, which gave foster parents a direct voice to their children's education. She's been honored as Woman of the Year for the 21st District by State Senator Jack Scott. In 2012, she received one of her most cherished honors, the Pasadena NAACP President's Award for improving the quality of life in the community. Upon her retirement from the Board of Trustees at Pasadena City College, PCC created the Jeanette Mann Foster Youth Center as a tribute to her service. Most recently, she was appointed to the LA County Commission for Children and Families in 2018 by LA County Supervisor Catherine Barger. Please welcome Dr. Jeanette Mann.
Well, Julie got most of that bio from in fact, all of that bio from what I turned in for the LA County Commission, because I read the bios of all the other people, and I thought, well, I want to look as important as they do. I had not really prepared remarks. I thought I would just kind of fill in because the topic is, how the bureaucracy affects foster kids, and it's just infinite. But before we start, I would like to point out Beth, Betty, and Ralph. They're right here in the room, who Randall referred to, and I'd like to ask them to stand up so we can come on, stand up so we can recognize you. And the Foster Care Project has had and is now reestablishing a relationship with YMO, where we identify people who are interested in mentoring kids. And the reason I mention that is we might in the future be interested in doing something like that with the league. So that's the reason I embarrass them by asking them to stand up. I have kind of structured my remark around 4 actions. Where are the actions? Okay, you should have those little yellow sheets. All right, Randall gave me the perfect opening for this. Do you remember, somewhere you'll find a little yellow sheet. Remember he said when he was taken to the DCFS? It's in the packets. It's the last page of your packet. Okay. So do you remember Randall said that when he was taken, when his mother was in the hospital, he was taken to the DCFS office? And then he stayed there until they found a place for him? Well, many, many, many foster children are taken from hospital, from school, and from other places, maybe from their home, and to the DCFS office, and they arrive in what clothes they had on. Randall was very fortunate that his grandmother took him and his brothers, but this doesn't always happen. So what we have done at the Foster Care Project, and what I'm suggesting you do as an individual project, is put together emergency kits. These emergency kits, and actually there's a list of what you could put in an emergency kit. People can drop those off on Beth Gertminian's porch. Her address is right there, and 1521 Oakdale. And she calls someone from DCFS, and they actually come and take these. And the social workers then use these for children who have been brought in, who have nothing but the clothes on their back, for the emergency placement, because they often go to emergency center where they don't have their toothbrush, they don't have anything. And also there are foster children who are being the social workers are working with their families. They're still with their families, but they may be living in a motel. They may be homeless, and these supplies would go to them. It's a very simple list of things, and it's a very easy thing to do. And you don't have to do it today, but actually everyone today could get in their car, go to Target, spend a few bucks, and have this as something you could give to these kids. And this would make a real difference, because I assume when Randall went from the hospital, he didn't have his toothbrush in his pocket. And neither do these kids. So I'm going to talk, as I said, about 4 actions, and that's the first one. The second thing I want to talk about, and I don't want to take all your time, but I want to just give you a little idea of what the foster office, well, let's back up a little bit. When I started working on this, I did not know that all the foster children were under the jurisdiction of the Department of Children and Family Services. I'm assuming many of you didn't know that either, but that's true. And so the Department of Children and Family Services for the Pasadena area, not just Pasadena, I want to give you just a little bit of information about these children. There are, as of last year, there were 1,646 children under the supervision of this office. Of those children, 73% are Hispanic, and 10% are African American. Also, of these 1,600 children, 338 are infants, 161 are preschool, 403 are elementary school. So a large percentage of these children are actually infants and very young. Okay. What's interesting then is what happens to these children, and I kind of like to just go through maybe a little narrative so you get again a better sense. Mikala talked about what happens when they get the kids. Well, let's say that you're not a high school student. Let's say you're a younger child, and you've been taken away from your parents, and you're in this home with these strangers, and as Mikala pointed out, you have to be enrolled in school almost immediately. So the foster parents will take you to, and I'm basing this on what we have been told by real foster parents. I see Mr. Sahakian's in the back. You would then be taken to your neighborhood school. And we have been told by many parents, when they arrive, they are told, oh, you can't enroll foster kids in this school. We don't take foster kids. You got to take that child elsewhere. Judy's heard it. Beth has heard it. You have to take this child to another school. I mean, that's very welcoming, right? Another foster parent told us she went to enroll a child, and she had a younger child who was kind of acting out and was told, take these children out of here and don't bring them back until they can behave appropriately. So there is a nice barrier. There's a bureaucratic barrier right there, in that there is a feeling that not just a feeling, but a very clear message these children often get that they're unwanted. But let's say you go to a school where they are enrolled. So the question is, you have an 8-year-old child. What grade are you in? I don't know. I'm not really sure. What school did you go to? I went to Lincoln. Lincoln what? Lincoln where? Often they have no information on these children's background. Now they're supposed to get, when the children come in, they're supposed to get an education passport, which is supposed to have all this information. But as Mikala can tell you, it doesn't have all the information. It only has the information if the social workers fill out the information. So what happens is, in Eric's office, which is an enrollment, they have to spend enormous amounts of time trying to find out where these children went to school, what grade they're in, what level they're in, and by the time they find this out, they're down to another school. Here is a bureaucratic barrier. It's two huge bureaucracies. I'm going to call PUSD a bureaucracy, and not like DCFS, though. I mean, they're just pikers compared to DCFS, but two bureaucracies trying to work together, but it simply is not working. And who's being affected by this, of course, is the child. And this is just a small child. Imagine if you're a high school student and you have been in, let's say it's October, and you're in world history, and you're changed high schools. Oh, what were you in? Well, I was in world history. Oh, world history? Okay, so we go into a different class. So, okay, but you're going to have to start again. So you have this tremendous thing with the kids not having their transcripts, and these are the kids who are with parents. And another thing that Mikala pointed out, oh, sorry, I'm looking over that way because I'm getting, okay. The other thing that Mikala pointed out, which I think is really important, is the fact about the individual education plan. An individual education plan is a plan that's developed for children with special needs. So over half of the, if you look at the kids in PUSD, it's about half of this foster youth, there's 415 of them, are special needs children. So you have this child, this 8-year-old child, and you think, wow, this child seems to have some problems with reading. Is that because the child is, hasn't had instruction, whatever it is? Well, let's see if the child has an IEP. Well, interestingly enough, unless it's in the material that's given to you, you really won't know. But what's really interesting is something called, and we're talking about bureaucratic barriers, educational rights holder. So the school district can find out if the child has an IEP, but the only person, if the child does not have an IEP, who can request that the child be assessed is the child's educational rights holder. Does anyone know what an educational rights holder is? Okay, it's the person who holds the educational rights for a child. All of us, I mean, that's pretty basic, right? Okay, all of us are our children's educational rights holder. A parent is a child's educational rights holder. So I have this child, they're in the 8th grade, they're 8 years old, they're in the 3rd grade, I think. I want to have the child assessed. The school thinks that might be a good idea, but the parent is the educational rights holder, and no one knows where the parent is. Here is a real barrier. Plus, and nothing can actually be done. The only way that this can actually be addressed is someone has to go into court and ask a judge to appoint someone else as this child's educational rights holder, but it probably won't be the foster parent because by the time you go through that process, guess what? The child has been moved. So here is one of these barriers. And until recently, I'm the foster parent and I want to see the child's records. Now the school district has the records, but I, as foster parent, don't have the right to see the records. Only the educational rights holder has the right to see the records. Fortunately, many of us lobbied very hard on this, and actually Senator Beal got a law passed that said foster parents have the right to see the children who are living in their homes' educational records. And also, if there is an assessment on these individual learning plans, that they have the right to be present, but they can't speak, but they can be in the room. So at least they know. And the problem here is if they don't know what's in the educational plan, they don't know what services the child is entitled to, then they don't know whether or not the district is providing them. And if the district doesn't know what's in the plan and what service the child is entitled to, they certainly don't know whether or not they're providing them. Another thing, I've got this child who comes in. The child was, say we're enrolling them in a local school, let's say Madison because it's close. But the child says, I hate this school. I really don't want to go to Madison. I don't want to go to this school. I was so happy in the school I was in Pomona. And it was, let's say, Lincoln School in Pomona. Why can't I go to the school in Pomona? Well, actually, according to a federal law called ESSA, this child has the right to continue in their school of origin. But how does an 8-year-old child know that? But the decision has to be made by, guess who? The educational rights holder and the social worker. And then another decision has to be made, and Eric is going to appreciate this when I say what it is. Someone has to figure out who's going to pay for it. Who's going to pay to transport this child to Pomona to school? Because I'm a parent and I have another child living in my home who's not going to school in Pomona. So this whole issue of the transporting, it's called school stability, has been a major, major obstacle. Congress passed a law, and the state has passed a law, and the Board of Supervisors has taken a position on this. And the problem, in my view, is no one really wants to step up to the plate until very recently and pay for the transportation. So they're saying to the parents, well, we can reimburse you for this, but this often becomes very complicated. Right now, the Board of Supervisors has allocated money to pay for transporting these children, and this is like for a year or so. But do the parents know this? No one tells them. If no one tells these children when they're coming into their home, well, we have, there is this program. They might have find it if they looked it up. Do you have in your packet something that looks like this? Okay. It's on the table. Okay. I want you to look at this. I'm going to talk just really briefly about schools, and I'm going to say a couple of things. I'm going to stop so we can have some questions. This is from the California Department of Education, and it shows the performance of foster youth. And if you notice, it's the third line across, and so suspension rate, red. Graduation rate, red. Language arts, I thought it should be red, but it's orange. Mathematics, red. These children, this is PUSD, perform below any other group, including special education children. So there is a tremendous amount that needs to be done. And Hannah mentioned the LCAP and the LCFS funds. I want to just make a few comments about that because I know the Education Committee is involved. But that was my second action, that you need to get involved and you need to go to the school board. I've been so many times, and you need to, and Elizabeth is here, she knows that I've been. But last year, the district got $39 million plus for the targeted disadvantaged youth. 2.4% of those children are foster youth. It has been the foster care project's position from the very beginning that 2.4% of whatever that money is should go to programs for foster youth. That's what the money is for, and that they should be treated individually and separately because of their special circumstances. According to Mr. Sahakian, who's in the back there, last year the district maybe didn't receive $39 million, maybe it received $35, I don't know. They spent $80,000 on programs for foster youth. Okay? So this is something that the people in the community really, really need to look at. Now, the foster youth are involved in other programs, but there was a grand jury. The LA County grand jury recently did a study, and they're of foster care of 10 districts in LA County, and their title kind of summarizes their findings. Funding fails foster. And they found that none of the districts were taking these billions of dollars and spending it on programs for foster youth. And they say the foster children have unique learning disabilities, unique educational needs, and districts should fund them. So I hope you look at that. And then I want to go to two other actions. Now you have 2 letters in that packet, and I'm going to suggest that you write the letters going really quick, and that gives time for questions. The first letter is state action, and it's AB 150, carried by Senator Beal. I'm wrestling my papers around here to find it. But essentially what this is, the federal government has a funding program that's only available to foster kids. And because of the bureaucracy of the California Aid Commission, Student Aid Commission, many, many foster kids in college or just starting do not receive their grants until late in the year. And the foster kids need their money up front and early. So what Senator Beal's letter would do, and we're asking all of you to send a letter to your local representative and senators supporting this, what it would do, it would authorize the Student Aid Commission to overpay at the beginning because they know not everyone's going to claim their grants, particularly with the foster kids, because it's based on they apply when they're getting ready to enroll. Many of them don't enroll. And then the kids would get their money up front when they needed it. This is a simple thing. They tried it with the Cal Grant program, and it's worked very well. More students have got their grants, more students have completed. We think it'll work with foster youth. So we would really like for you to sign this letter and send it. And then the next letter is even a little bit more complicated, but Los Angeles County has received a waiver, and I won't go into the details, but without this waiver, they could only use their money for preventing children going into foster care. They couldn't use it for anything for reuniting them with their families or for helping the families once they've been reunited. This waiver expires in September, and there is a bill, which is what your second bill is, which would extend the waiver another year. This would make a tremendous difference to these children, because one of the things they do now is if a family, the only thing to keep a child from being reunited, its parents, is the family's homeless. The district, DCFS, can take money and find housing and pay for it to keep the family united. Without this extension, they can't do that. They can only spend money to prevent kids from going in foster care. So I'm not going to take all the question time, but that's what I'd have. So I really hope that you will consider signing these two letters and go to Target or go to wherever you buy stuff, put together an emergency pack and drop it on Beth's porch. Okay, thank you. Okay, well then, so there are several cards here about CASA. And there is a question, do you want to tell us what CASA does, and why didn't you mention CASA? And what I would say is CASA is a great organization. It's court-appointed special advocates who go through a training, and then they become an advocate for a foster child. And one of the things the Foster Care Project does is we help recruit for CASAs. We host at the All Saints Church about 4 times a year a program where you can learn about becoming a CASA. We have several CASAs, and it is a great program. I don't know if there was anything else you want to say about CASA. The CASA, that's a good question. A CASA can petition to become an ed rights holder, but only a judge can take an ed rights holder away from a parent. Even if the parent is like Randall's father, is completely absent from his life. But often CASAs do become the ed rights holder, and then they can get involved and they can make these educational decisions. The other thing that a new law that recently passed, and I don't remember the exact thing, but there's these family conferences with the social workers and the child and the parents, and CASAs may now participate in those conferences unless the child objects. That's brand new. It might be a while. So this is a great, great, great program. And since, well, I had this, and I'll take one more second. Another really great program we have, and there's some people here, we have monitors, coach monitors, we being the Foster Care Projects, for family reunification. And I know there's several coach monitors, or at least a couple in the room. Is anyone a coach monitor?
Yeah, over there.
Yeah. There's a couple of those. So that's another thing that's very, very useful.
Well, and the monitors, that's another thing. It's a collaboration. First of all, she's amazing. And the people that the Foster Project, it's just so, we're lucky to have her. So the monitoring, you can become trained as a monitor, and that actually is happening at the DCFS office, where All Saints coordinates it, First United Methodist Church, and Learning Works, where the monitor is with the child and their parent, or making sure the visit is a positive, successful visit. And how would they volunteer for that?
We didn't bring any. We have a flyer, but if you're interested, leave your name with Ann. Ann, are you Ann's back there?
Ann.
Ann, and we will get in touch with you.
Ann's the best too.
Ann's the best, and we will get in touch with you.
I'll have a yellow pad back there.
Just sign up, and then we will get in touch with you. And if you give us your email address, the Foster Care Project sends out a monthly blast. We call it a blast. which has all kinds of volunteer opportunities of things you can do that month. And we try to make them very different. Being a CASA is the major commitment. That's the biggest thing you can do, probably not the least important, but the easiest is we have a birthday club, and you can just take you get a child's birthday and you bring a gift once a year to the church. And another very easy one is do an emergency kit and drop it off on Beth's porch. I mean, but the thing of it is, all of these are really, really important. Now, I'm going to talk for one more minute, but I want to tell you, we have a birthday club, because when we first started out, we talked to a young woman who had been in foster care. She went at 14 when her mother died. She said, I was in foster care until I was 18. I was only around people who took care of me. But one year, I got a birthday card from a group called Friends of Orphans. And that changed my life, because it indicated to me that someone out there cared about me. So anything that you do for these children helps, and it can make an enormous difference.
Do you want to do these?
Yeah, go ahead, Randall.
I do one of them. My question is, what is the primary program of YMO? I think just providing affordable housing. I believe when I was there, I paid $200 a month for the first 6 months, and then $400 from 6 to 10, and then so on and so on. So I just think the primary program goal is to get youth in the habit of paying rent, and paying rent on time. So, and then other services that I received while I was in foster care were, I got a plane ticket to Maryland. I just wanted to get out of California. That was fun. I actually went to college there for a few months, got homesick, played basketball there a little bit, but like I said, homesick, overruled everything, so I came back and started at PCC. So
I can't answer my question.
What is it?
I think it's about unaccompanied children without papers.
Oh, I can answer this.
I thought so.
What effect are unaccompanied immigrant minors having on the foster care system in LA County? It's flooding it. It is a whole new challenge for the foster care system, and the DCFS tries to place children with their families, and they also try to place children at least in the same, comparable language communities, and so on. But they aren't really equipped. And then you have this whole thing about, what's ICE going to do? So it has had a negative effect. There's one for you, Michael.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Good.
Okay, so I got a couple more that I think. So it says, what can a community member do if we suspect a foster family is maybe mistreating a foster child? You should call the Office of Department of Children and Family Services, the Pasadena office, and just tell them that you think that the child is being mistreated. If you think a child is being mistreated who's not a foster parent, DCFS has a hotline, and I have the number at my, with my stuff. You can call there. They get like 400,000 calls in this county a year. Each one is evaluated, and most of them do not rise to the level of abuse and neglect. But what DCFS is now doing is it's trying to do more of referring. If someone calls and says the children are hungry, and they go and they find out that the children aren't being mistreated, but the family does need food, they refer them to a local food pantry. So we're trying to bring in more of the resources of the community. Randy, got something next?
Yeah, he's going to.
You don't want to answer another one of those?
No, go ahead. I can define one.
What are the main things that keep me on a straight and narrow would be just wanted to be something better than what the odds have placed on me. So being told that I wasn't going to that I'd be lucky enough just to graduate from high school. Challenge, took it on. And the same with college. I'll be lucky enough if I complete a semester of college. I'm in the 4th year. So, and and I think the main thing that just keep me going is I just want to keep proving to people wrong that said that foster youth can't do much. So.
This is a question I have to give because the answer is mind-boggling. Are there funds to transport a parent to a visitation closer to the foster grandparent? The answer to that is no. There aren't funds, but there are programs where they are, trying to assist with this. So this is really a major problem, and I only had a few minutes, I didn't bring it up. But in LA County, most of the families are from South Central. They're African-American Latino families. About 60% of the foster kids are up in Lancaster and Palmdale. And if you remember that there have been very large news coverage of 2 boys who were killed by their parents who, that DCF had not intervened. This is tragic. It's been Latoya. So the problem is it's such a distance. I mean, if the parent is in South Central and the child's up in Palmdale, how do you do these visitations? So DCFS hired a group of consultants from a very well-known university, which I will not name because their finding was so stupid that I can't. And they suggested that what you needed to do was you need to move the visitation centers to halfway points between South Central and Palmdale, which is right in the middle of the mountains. And there's not even any towns up there. I mean, and not only that, the chart that they had was jiggled like this, so they knew those were mountains. They said, well, that's what you do. And then and we said, well, this is crazy. You can't have first of all, there's no towns. But I'm from the Midwest. This university is located in the Midwest where it's very, very flat. So, and there's little towns everywhere. So you can't. It made sense there, but not here. Okay. So that one I wanted to answer. The next one's on educational rights holders. What are they and how does one become one? Again, an educational rights holder, every child has an educational rights holder. It's your parent. If you're removed from the custody of your parent, the parent still is your educational rights holder unless a judge then gives you that right to someone else. So often a CASA will petition to be an educational rights holder, or a foster parent will petition to be an educational rights holder, or a grandparent. So if you want to become one, you have to go through a petitioning process, and you can go online and just type, I want to become educational rights holder, and it gives you the forms to fill out and for the child, and so on. But probably the best way to do it would be to become a CASA, because CASA often are educational rights holders for their children. So the next one, if I'm just going to get through these really, really quickly, what is the relationship between SB 150 and AB 3089? Answer is, I don't know. But I can look it up. And I don't mean to be flip, it's just I simply don't know. Next one, how can a person who lives near a public school help a newly enrolled student at the school? Mr. Sagan is still here, and I hope this answer is correct. All the schools have volunteers, and I would think what you would need to do is go down to the, what's it called, the family? Parent and family engagement. Go through the process of becoming a volunteer, asked to be signed to that school. Or there are asked to talk with the people you can go and talk with Francesco Casco, who's the foster youth liaison, and say you would like to be involved in that school. That's desperately, desperately needed, by the way. That would be a terrific thing for people to do.
And I just want to add to that. Can you stand, Eric? Sorry. This is our, what do they call you these days?
They call him assistant superintendent, is what they call him.
Okay, so we are, in all the things we've been saying about the district, I want to give a positive when a positive shout out is needed. he is amazing, and he is in charge of child welfare services. So if at any point you had a question about what the district is or isn't doing, or you wanted to get involved, he's your guy. And and we have to go back and forth often because he handles expulsions, and always wanting that child to be placed in the right place. So talk to him.
Yeah, I would want to underline this. I think the fact of it is and now we have a school board member here. He doesn't have the funding he needs to do the work he has. I mean, he does. You know, I hate to say he does the best he can with what he has, but I think that's what it is. So there's 415 foster youth. There's one foster youth liaison for all of those people. If you look at even Palmdale, they have with the same number of students. I think they have 6 liaisons. That's that. Okay, one other question. Why do schools reject foster children? By law, any school aren't schools automatically, yes, that's true. They automatically have to enroll it. And when I have said this, school board members have said, well, what was the school, who was the person? But the foster parents, don't necessarily know the name of the person, and it's not something they usually want to do. Yes, the answer is yes. All schools must take them, but I think there needs to be a lot of work done by the school, by the district, to make the schools welcoming to foster parents when they come in. Something as simple as just having a place, because often one person will have more children that if they come in and enroll one child, then the other child could sit in color or something. And this wouldn't only be true for foster children. This would be true for any child.
And we find this problem with probation youth as well. Probation youth are legally allowed to go back to their school, but they're not necessarily wanted. So it's very tricky.
Right. And the other thing, I would just make one other comment. There is something called like a dual minor. That's a person who was in foster care and then is in probation. And really, you've heard the pipeline, from school to prison. The pipeline is foster care to probation to juvenile hall. There's a tremendous percentage of the kids in juvenile hall were started off in foster care. And so the county's trying to work together to try to do this. Then I just have one more question. It says, you alluded to the fact that children's foster parents change frequently. What is the average length of placement with a given foster family? And on that, I'm going to have to pretend I'm a college professor again and snow you with words. It really depends a lot on how old the children are. And so like with a baby, which is very adoptable, maybe you would have 1 or 2 placements. If you have an older child, they are often moved 3 or 4 times a year. So,
but again, this is how to put this. We say, but these are trauma youth at this point. These are youth that are exhibiting some interesting behaviors, and so how do we love them, hold them, and keep them? It has a lot more to do with training and capacity and all of that. So it's not that they're being moved for no reason. There's a lot of movement for cause, but then who's holding them? Who's watching this? Who's taking care of this so that there isn't that much movement? How are we forgiving them? Okay, you're going through a lot of trauma, so obviously your behaviors aren't going to be that terrific every day.
Did you say you had one last question?
We have someone over there.
I just wanted to mention that you're using probation, but one of the things you mentioned is the foster kids who got in probation for a very minimal problem. If they're in the group home and together and arguing,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great point. Did you all hear what he said? Yes, and that's one of the reasons why you have this relationship, I think, between the two of them, or if you run away and you get picked up. My kids are really good kids, but they were just kids. Probably every one of them, if they'd been in a group home, would wound up in juvenile hall for the things they did. Just smacking your sister could get you there. Right. Anything else?
I'm afraid. I want to have a round of applause for our incredible panel. You clearly now have have lots of resources. I would strongly, I'm also one of the foster parent, a birthday, come, et cetera, from All Saints, and it's a wonderful program. And you have, I think I've had 7 kids all total, so you get to think through prizes. I have one correction I've been asked to make, and that was the identification of the LCFF funds. And I had added special education, which is not funded through this, and I omitted English language learners. So I wanted to go on the record of apologizing for my mistake. Now, we want to thank you all. And
so before you all go back to your seats, we would like to show our appreciation. I must say that this topic alone, we could spend a couple of days in a workshop, right? Really understanding the ins and outs of this system. It does continue to be a sore spot for me personally, because I see this in places like Pasadena, but also all across the country. And so we talk about the pipeline from, cradle to prison, and all of that is a part of this. So to help you get through the love month of February, we'd like you to have some league love. There's one for you, Jeanette. There is one for you, dear Randall, and one for Mikala. Thank you so much. Or truffles, and just a gift from us. Okay, thank you. Thank you. This has been extremely stimulating, enlightening, and I feel that it's also pushing us to action, and that's really what we want our league days to become. As we learn, as we grow, we act, and I think that is what we will accomplish here today. So before we end our program, I'd like to ask the committee chairs who have something really exciting to tell us to come forward and line up here or here. And I'm going to ask, yes, Marilyn, and I believe George. Where's George? No. George? Okay, George, I believe you have an announcement, all right? You want to come forward and make that now. Thank you. All right, so let's start with Marilyn, who's here. Go, Marilyn.
Hi, folks. It's so exciting to see so many people here. It's wonderful. We do care, don't we? And put our caring into action. I hope all of you received at your table a flyer about the League of Women Voters annual ice cream social. It's really a friend raiser, and it's just becomes bigger and better each year. If you would like to help with this fun event, please fill this out and leave it on your table, and I'll pick it up. Everybody get out your calendar, please, and write Sunday, July 14th on your calendar. How many of you have been to the ice cream socials in the past? Great, great. So hope to see all of you there, and if you can help, it'll obviously make it possible. Thank you.
I'm Bonnie Skolnick, co-chair of the Education Committee with Hannah. What is public is political, as it should be. And we have no dearth of topics in public education. With the new governor proposing some interesting legislation, or that he had pledged during his candidacy, we're trying to stay on top of it, as well as civic education for kids and projects and so forth, and the financial training ourselves on a budget in-service type of thing for PUSD at least. This LCAP. Is Eric still here, or did he leave? Okay. The survey that was sent out for community, I don't know what the definition of community in PUSD is, does not include people really sitting in this room, and I'd love to have that changed. It is more of a PTA survey. How can you help your schools? So I will try to do something. I already did respond. And for those of you who would like to help in our other area districts also, you don't have to I know other districts don't specify you have to be attached to a school, and I hope in PUSD that survey will be changed. So we can help on a district level.
It's on, right? Yeah. So I'm Catherine Gavsey. I'm co-chair of the Events Committee, and I'm going to sneak in a comment before I tell you some more about upcoming events. The CASA program, Court-Appointed Special Advocate, came up a lot during the questioning. I am a former CASA. It was one of the most rewarding and fulfilling things I've ever done in my life. If you're at all curious about the experience and would like to know more, please look for me. I'll tell you what it meant to me personally, and I encourage everybody to consider becoming a CASA. Events is excited to announce that we are now beginning to have programs at night to help our people who are working and have trouble getting to the daytime League Day programs, and not in the center of downtown Pasadena, because we have members who live all over the area, right? And the first of these is, Pat already told you about it, the League at Night Pizza Party. These flyers are on the table right over there now. Okay. Oh, by the water. Please pick one up as you leave. The goal here is, we already had one meeting here, daytime meeting in January, where everybody reviewed our proposed priorities for action and education in the coming year, building up to the big election year 2020, and also some suggestions from the State League for what the State League should be doing over the next year. This is a second opportunity for members to chime in, make your voice heard, say what you think the League should be undertaking in the coming very important year. So please come, and it'll be fun. And look on the website and in your voter for the announcements of all the exciting upcoming monthly League Day events. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. George. Bring someone new to League Day.
My name's George Null. I'm here on behalf of the North Unit of, normally we don't make unit announcements at League Day, but we have a special person coming to the next unit meeting, which will be January 21st. Jeanette Mann has graciously agreed to be the moderator and to come to lead that discussion. So this will be a chance for those of you who like to learn more about this topic and be able to discuss it in a small group environment to come. Everybody's welcome. You don't have to be from Pasadena, but we welcome Pasadenans and everybody else. So we hope to see a lot of you there at that meeting. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. I'm Morgan Zadowitz. I'm the co-chair of the Healthcare Committee, along with my better half, Thad, who's sitting over there. And I simply wanted to encourage you to come to our March League Day, which is on March 7th, and will feature Elizabeth McGlynn. Dr. Elizabeth McGlynn is from the Kaiser Permanente Research Center, and she's going to be discussing precision medicine and what that might mean to each one of you. Precision medicine is really about personalized medicine, which is, of course, a major breakthrough in medicine currently. So I would encourage everyone to attend, because I think you'll find it quite interesting. That's it.
I'm Marna Cornell, and I'm membership committee, and I'm also kind of the point person for Women's Roundtable Salon, which we have here. It isn't just for members, and the Women's City Club has graciously given us some space, and we have speakers every month. And the one coming up in February is Black History Month, and so we have a speaker, to Reggie Odom, who's a transformational speaker and coach, and she's going to be talking about white privilege and Black history, and it's free, but I would like you to sign up because the club needs to know how many people to expect. They put out little refreshments. I'd encourage you to come. It's just 5:30 to 6:30 p.m., easy in and out if you want. So please come see me and sign up. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, I am so sorry. Here, Wednesday, It's now changed to Wednesdays. The club has courteously does this for free for us. It's the second Wednesday of the month, and it will be February 13th.
Good morning. I'm Mildred Dockery, and I'm the chair of the Development Committee. And I want to report that we are having a spring fundraiser. It's going to be an evening cocktail event. The location has not been firmed yet, and we will be having a speaker. But this is to encourage members who do work to attend one of our fundraising events. The league does not needs as much as it can for all the activities that it does in the community. And you will be receiving an invitation to this event by the first week in March. Thank you.
I'm Anita Mackey, and among the hats I wear is chairman of the Housing Subcommittee of the Social Justice Group. And we've been meeting to update our position, and we've divided into 3 groups. One's going to look at renters' issues, another homeowners' issues, and the third, the preservation and production of affordable housing. Our next meeting is next Friday, the 15th, from 10 to noon at the League office. And we invite any of you who are interested in any of these topics to come along and join with us.
Good morning. Good morning, Pasadena League of Women Voters. It is good to see everyone out. I'm Gwendolyn Jones, the units director, and we have some excitement happen at the units. We just need to see more of you that are coming. I'll say a little bit. The South Unit will be meeting on Wednesday, February 20th at 10 a.m. at the home of Marlene Gillen. And their special project is helping the visually impaired. And they need you to donate to them some used eyeglasses. Who can help them in the room? Who has used eyeglasses that they can bring to our next League Day and have them available to those ladies that always sit over there at that table? And we're talking about Marlene Giddem. So bring the used glasses to help them with their community project. And I need you to get behind George Knoll. He's having a meeting on Thursday, the 21st at 10 a.m. Let Jeanette Mann know that we can come to unit meetings and she doesn't always have to come here. So who can help and get over to George Knoll's meeting coming up on Wednesday, Thursday the 21st, because he has graciously asked for the guests of Janet Mann. Let's get behind George Knoll. Get behind him. And for all you Altadena people in Pasadena and Haces Ranch and above the road, well, everybody likes to get up early. The breakfast meeting needs your help. Wednesday, February 20th at 7:30 at the Perfect Equation Restaurant. They tell me that they have a secret, but they have a dynamic program that they're putting on, and we need you to get behind Alicia Guilford at the unit meeting. Oftentimes, we're coming to the league meeting, but there are some people that are wheelchair bound, they're in assisted living, or they're in other areas that they've slowed down. And they can't always get here to League Day, but they can get to the unit meeting. So if you know someone near you that would like to be coming to the league meeting, that's no longer driving, do something compassionate and call them and see if you can pick them up. Same thing with the unit meeting, if they want to come. One more thing, I'm over the East Unit, and it's in Monrovia at the Community Center, and they give us a wonderful room to meet in, and we always have terrific snacks. And we invite you, yes, we do. Don't have to go to a restaurant, just come to the Monrovia Community Center and dine on us. And our next meeting is Thursday, February 21st at 10 a.m. Also, that same night, now I was talking about people that can't get around, they are having League at Night on our day. So the East Unit will probably come to the League at Night. It's in Monrovia. Okay, I'm passing the mic to Martha but come and support the units because some leagues have given the units up. And so we still want ours to stay alive, and we're available for you in an intimate setting. Thank you.
I really don't know what I'm going to do. I always end up following Gwen. Maybe I'll set my hair on fire to get the same level of excitement. Anyway, I'm really excited because in January, we all got together and planned out what we were going to do and what our priorities were going to be. So we developed in Voter Services a 2019-2020 calendar. And, it's starting right now, basically, all the planning that we have to do. And to do voter education, we really want to focus on that. We will always be doing voter registration, but we have 85% of the people registered to vote, but they're not showing up. As you know, we don't get 85%. And we're having so many changes come up, including voting centers, that we really have to get out there to the tens of thousands of voters that we have in our area, and we need to touch a lot of people. So I want to encourage you to please shoot an email to Voter Services and let us know that you're available to get with the program, to go to all the community centers, to go to the senior centers, to go to the high schools, to go everywhere to tell as many people about these changes, because it's very much supported by new technology. And with the issues of voter fraud and the scares that we've had, we need to reassure all our voters that their vote's going to be safe. So we've got this long-term plan that we're coming up with, including starting at the schools with a program to replicate what Bonnie Skolnick and her group did in the fall, to get into the classrooms and get at all the seniors, because they're going to be new voters, and we want them to get started properly, know how to vote, feel confident, and really know where to get information. And we're the go-to people. They need to know that. So anyway, please get involved. Do anything you can do to help us out. Thanks.
Thank you, Martha. Thank you. Yeah, we're into a big run between now and 2020. So, get out your running shoes, get your whatever you need to speed you up, skates, whatever, so that we can get behind the efforts to make this push to 2020. There's a lot going on, many, many changes, and at the League of Women Voters, we see educating our community and helping people with the voting process as something that is a must for us to do. So I chair immigration. I don't think we really have a big report, but we have a lot of new members on immigration, so we're excited. More come. And advocacy, we didn't hear from advocacy, but let me just say that what advocacy does and what they're behind is exactly what we're doing here today with signing those letters, taking action at every step that we can. So thank you all very much. I think that's it. I want us to send Dorothy some real love today so that she will feel better. So let's just all maybe, act like we're hugging, like a group hug thing for Dorothy. You know how you hug somebody, right? And if you're like me, when you hug, you go, So let's just send Dorothy a group hug today, will you? 1, 2, 3. All right, she's going to feel better. That back and leg will get better. Thank you all for being here. We'll see you next time.